All right, I'm back. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different on my channel today. I'm going to be looking at an old school Nintendo game, and I plan to do a few of these in the next several months. Many of the games I'm going to look at are going to just be old favorites of mine. I'm going to do like a Let's Play or a walkthrough. But today I'm going to actually do something even a little bit different to that, and I'm going to take a look at Simon's Quest, Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. And the purpose of me looking at it is not going to be to do a playthrough or a Let's Play. I am going to go through to the end of the game, but I want to actually look at the game from the point of view of taking a look at the map. I remember as a kid, back in the 80s, playing this game, and it was obviously a very confusing place to get around. And we didn't have the internet, of course, and so we had to rely on things like Nintendo Power to give us a map. And if you remember, there was a map included in one of the issues of Nintendo Power for Castlevania 2. And it was more of an aesthetically pleasing map, but it didn't really do much to assist you in understanding what goes where and how to get from place to place. And so ultimately we would make use of maybe game atlases, and now since the advent of the internet, there are some websites that have some decent maps up there as well. But looking at those maps, it actually appears as though the world is a little less linear than it actually is. Many of the maps that are online show this connection on one side connects to this connection on the other side, when in reality I've taken a closer look at the map of Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, and for the most part it's actually one continuous linear map which goes from left to right, with the leftmost part being Deborah Cliff, where you essentially kneel down with the red crystal and a tornado takes you away and takes you to, I believe it's Brahm's mansion, or one of the mansions, to continue on with the game. But that is actually the leftmost part of the entire map of Transylvania. And the rightmost part is, of course, Castlevania, where you fight Dracula, and it's the end of the game. And for the most part, the maps actually go in a linear fashion from left to right. Now, there's a few places where the maps split, where there's an upper and a lower path. But again, for the most part, we're talking about one continuous map. And I can actually maybe put it up on the screen here to quickly show you that in reality, we're looking at one linear map from left to right. And pretty much everything fits along that one linear path, with the exception of there is one place where you can take the ferry with the riverman to a different mansion. I forget which one it is. I'll take a closer look. Where you hold Dracula's heart when you speak to the riverman, and he takes you to a different place. And so that's a different offshoot. But that's really the only offshoot that there is. Everything else follows a linear path, and there are actually very few dead ends. I mean, I've actually charted out the path over the old school Nintendo Power map. And if you look closely, I think I've done how many different locations? I've done 41 different locations from beginning to end, with the town of Jova being the first stop and the castle of Castlevania being the last stop. And for the most part, everything follows one linear path, with Deborah's Cliff being a dead end, of course. And there's also, I believe it's Laruba Mansion, also known as, I think it's Rover Mansion, being a dead end as well. But for the most part, as I indicated, as we will see, it's one linear path. Now, one of the things that makes it difficult to conceive of it as one path is there is one place, actually probably two places, but one place in particular where you are not supposed to be able to go from left to right. There's supposed to be essentially a barrier in the game. And we'll take a look at that in a moment, which is in the form of when you're moving from left to right, it's a jump that's going to be just apparently too high to be able to jump. As you move from left to right, the blocks are just too high. So if you're coming from the right side, it's a one-way street. You can jump from the upper blocks to the lower blocks, but you're not supposed to be able to go back. As you'll see, there's a glitch in the game that allows you to go that way. And if you do go that way, you'll see it's one linear path. The other place we'll take a look at where it appears to not be a linear path is in one of the graveyards. I believe it's called the Storigoi graveyard. You're not supposed to be able to go from right to left. There's a ledge that is apparently too high, and it's supposed to appear as though that's a dead end too, but you can use what's known as, I think, a blob boost or a slime boost, basically letting an enemy hit you and cause you to jump up a little higher than you normally would be able to. And if you do that, you're actually able to get to another side of Transylvania. And so it is also sort of looped. And so looking back at the Nintendo Power map that I have put together, or that I've at least drawn over an overlay, it's basically one big loop, essentially. And everything is connected in a fairly linear fashion, with a few exceptions, which I can look at in due course. And so I'm going to take a look and start the game and take everybody through it right now. Now, in order to do this, again, I told you this is not going to be a traditional Let's Play. I'm going to enter in the master password to basically start with everything. All right, and here we go. All right, so here we are in the town of Jova. And normally, of course, at the beginning of the game, you're going to go from left to right, begin, but I've put in the password where I have all my items, so I'm going to equip holy water and the rib, and I'm actually going to start off going this way to Belasco Marsh, which is where the enemies are pretty tough to begin with, but again, now that I have all the items, it's not that big of a challenge. Computer there and make sure I remember the names of the different places I'm going to be going to here. So I believe the next screen is the Dead River, which is where the Riverman is. Now, if you equip the heart, he's going to take you to a different place than normal. But I'm just going to talk to him in a normal fashion, in which case he's just going to continue to take me in a linear fashion to the left. So next to the left is the town of Aljiba. And it's probably going to go from day to night while I'm in this town. There's the guy that trades you a crystal. Yeah, it's almost nighttime. It'll probably switch on the next screen. There it goes. So these are called the Sadam Woods. I'm probably going to take an early death. Now, if you go down there, you end up at the Storigoi graveyard. I talked about that earlier. And that's where you can actually go all the way to the left where you're not supposed to be able to go any further. And if you do manage to get further, you'll actually transport to a point later on in the game. So the next stop is going to be the town of Ondol, which I'll just be at in just a moment here. Oh, haven't been paying close attention to my health just because I'm more interested, as I indicated, in just showing what the map looks like rather than putting together a successful Let's Play. Now, to the left of the town of Ondol here is where you get to Deborah Cliff, and that's where normally you would activate the red crystal and kneel, and then you'll be taken to, I forget which mansion it is, but you'll be taken to another part of the game. Oh, got it there. Thought it was dead for a second. So this is where you would normally kneel with the crystal activated, but I'm gonna now go back to the right. This is the leftmost part of the map for Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. You can't go any further to the left than this. And so, as I mentioned, Castlevania, where you fight Dracula, is the rightmost part of the map. So that just helps give you a little bit of context and a little bit of understanding of the linear ends of the map. I'm going to go back briefly to where the road splits to an upper and a lower road, which I believe is beyond the next screen. This is where you can go to a lower path here. Whatever. I don't care if I game over here. This is the Storigoi graveyard. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that properly, but this is one of those places which appears to be a dead end. As you can see, you're not supposed to be able to jump up here. Oh, that might have almost been it if I didn't die there. So this is that blob boost or that slime boost that I was telling you about before, where you can't jump that high, but with the help of the slime you might be able to jump that high. Oh. I'm by no means an expert game player, by the way. For those of you who know who I am, I'm a lawyer. I'm not a speedrunner, I'm not an expert gamer, but just trying to find a little bit of nostalgia in old games, and where I find something interesting, try and bring it to your attention. I might skip ahead and do a bit of a jump cut if this takes too long. I just got over to this side here. Now this is the marsh where I forget what this marsh is even called, but if you go back now to the right, here you are. So I'm going to actually die. So what I showed you guys before was me going to the furthest left on the map that you could go. Now normally you would, when you get there, you would take the tornado to, I believe it's Brahm's mansion. And I showed you an alternative way to get there by taking the lower path to the Storigoi graveyard and using that blob boost to get there. But as you will see, you can actually get to that mansion and to the marsh that was just to the left of it by going to the right now. So now I'm going to show you how to go all the way to the right on the Simon's Quest map. Now this is one of the bridges. I forget which one it's called. I believe it's a south bridge. So I believe that if you had gone down that path before, you would have ended up at the town of Veros, but I'm remaining in the Veros Woods going to the right, and we're going to arrive at the first mansion. I believe it's Berkeley mansion. There's Berkeley mansion. We're just going to keep on going. That was Denis Woods that we were just going through, and I believe we are still in Denis Woods. And I'm going to arrive at Dabis path through this tunnel here. Now, the bottom of Dabis path, I believe, where you could find the sacred flame. We're going to stay on the upper level right here. And now we're in the Aljiba Woods. Going down those stairs takes you to the lower road, which if you go down that way will take you to Yuba Lake, and I believe it's Rover Mansion, or also known as Laruba Mansion, and some older versions of books. Now this is, I think, the town of Aljiba. Yep. This is actually going to bring us to the next place of where the game normally will appear to not be linear, but as we will see, actually is quite linear. The Camilla Cemetery. Now this here is supposed to be another barrier, a dead end. You can go from right to left if you come out the right side, but you're not supposed to be able to go from left to right. There we go. I didn't even have to jump cut that. So we're in Camilla's cemetery, but we're on the other side now. And so, as you can see, this is all one linear path from left to right. So this is Joma Marsh. This is Joma Marsh West. I'm going to use a laurel or some laurels in order to not die. This is the biggest marsh in the game, or the two biggest marshes together. This is Laruba Mansion over here, and now you've got Joma Marsh East over here. And so we're now in the Debious Woods. Now this is referred to as the UTA lower road, and basically you just need to stay on the lower path here. I believe that person robed down there gives you the flame whip, but I already got the flame whip, so I'm just going to stay up here and get a move on here. So this is where you would have entered from the other side of Bodley Lake using a crystal to kneel to get down underneath here if you had come from that side. But we're going the other way here. And over here is, which mansion is this? Anyway, I'm going to keep moving along to what's called the Wicked Ditch over here. Here's some of the harder enemies of the game now. Oops. Oh, and now it's nighttime. And this is now the town of Doina. And to the right of this is the North Ridge. even with the flame whip, these zombies take 2 hits each, which shows that the enemies are getting much stronger. Ah! Now these are some of the hardest enemies in the game. Now, down these stairs here is where you want to go. I'm just quickly going to go to the right. Just to show you what's out that way. This is probably the only true dead end in the game, and that's the Denis Marsh. Oh, I think you gotta go across this is the East Bridge first. This is actually a dead end, as I think I may have already mentioned. There's really nothing of value to go out this way. At the right side of that area here, which is the Denis Marsh, there's actually an invisible staircase. Now, I want to try and see if I can finish the game with the best ending here, so I'm not going to bother to go that far. But that is the rightmost side of the game, but it's a dead end. The rightmost side of the game, which is not a dead end, is of course Castlevania, Dracula's castle, and that's if we went down those stairs where we get split off just before. So we're going to go there right now. This is the town of Yomi, which I believe is the last town, and it's completely deserted. And to the right is the Vrad or the Vlad graveyard. Again, there are some Nintendo publications that refer to it in different ways. So this is a true dead end unless you have... Uh-oh, I didn't want to do that. Unless you have all of Dracula's body parts, because this is, of course, how you get to Castlevania. think when I played this the other night, I did a save state right before Dracula, so if and when I inevitably die with only one bar of health left, I'll probably just resume the game from right at Dracula's door. Because if you die at Dracula, it actually takes you back to the beginning of this lengthy path to get there. You'll notice that you no longer have any garlic because you're not allowed to bring garlic in here. You'll see in this ending here, it's the colorful ending, but it's the one where the text is that Simon doesn't survive his mortal or his fatal wounds. And in another version of the ending, which is sort of a Twilight version, where Dracula's hand comes up through the ground, that has another set of text. And then there's the worst ending, which is just a black and white ending. You would think that it would make more sense for the worst ending, the black and white ending, to also be the one where Simon doesn't survive his mortal wounds. But again, this is one of the complaints about the game, that this ending, the endings were mixed up. Well, that takes us through the map from beginning to end. I think the only thing that I forgot to show everybody, which I'll show everybody right now, and I will do so without loading up with all my energy. Oh, no, I will actually need to load up in order to show how the one last piece of the map that I did not show everybody. I'm going to do this password one more time just so I can show the last part of the map that I didn't show. The only part that's not really linear. So I'm just going to now show you the one piece of the map that's not entirely linear that I didn't show you before. As you may recall, when you go this way, you get to the riverman or the ferry, and he takes you on the linear path to the left. But if you equip Dracula's heart, and this guy takes you to a different place. That noise means that you've gone somewhere different. try that again. So out this way is the Jam Wasteland, and this is the only other dead end in the game. And this is where you would normally find the diamond. So that brings this video really to a conclusion. And so that's really the entire map of Simon's Quest Castlevania 2. As seen, it is actually almost entirely linear, and I hope that this was helpful to people trying to figure it out and also to see what it looks like on the Nintendo Power Map. Well, that's it for now, and I will see you guys next time with probably a Let's Play. Bye-bye now.